This is gonna be a rough one for me because I'm awkward and nervous and not really a big writer. I am not an English person. In fact, I was checking my transcript today and my GPA, my last English, or not GPA, my grade point, was a 1.1 in my last English class. So we're gonna get through this video essay as fast as we can. Alright, so, hi team. I guess I have a bit of a thought piece. I don't want to say it's gonna be like super in depth, and I don't want to say it's like the most important, like knowledgeable. There are many other people who actually are good at English that can do this topic way better. It's just that I've done this video before and I want to see if I can compare them and if there will be any like obvious differences. It's kind of a marker for me, but I'll share it with you. I'm gonna get back on my soapbox and we're gonna talk about bodies. I think very few things are normal about the way we go about bodies, and I think that this has been exacerbated by the internet. Even before the rise of the web, I was aware of the skinniness of the 90s and 2000s, with the media trying to tell me any of the women from The Devil Wears Prada are large in any way, or that Sam Puckett in iCarly was bulky, or Trina from Victorious being portrayed as a whale of a woman. I have to believe something is wrong with the way women are expected to look in the media and that it's leaking into real life. With factors like genetics, wealth, and time, we'll wade into the shallow end of our body standards and how achievable they may or may not be to the average Joe. I will also take a moment to talk about my experience with weight loss and gains, with mentions of disordered eating, so if it wasn't clear before, here's a content warning, and I can recommend any of my other videos if you're sensitive to topics like these. Without further ado, body standards. You can tell this video is old, or like my scripting is old, because this isn't as popular as a topic anymore. With the rise of GLP-1s like Ozempic and what I'll call the rebirth of heroin chic, I'm actually in the middle of editing this video now, and I have to say that I actually think that what we are experiencing now is worse than the heroin chic thing, just in the way that in the heroin chic, you weren't able to see as many bones, and I'll put in a few pictures, not like a lot, because that's scary. But just like as a comparison between some celebrities we're seeing today and some celebrities from then. But yeah, I just want to step in and say that I actually don't think that they're as comparable as they were for a bit. We are letting our biases show with our preferences of thinness. Not that the preference left during the body positivity movement and during the last body trend of having curves, the base was still thin. A take I saw recently was trying to say, now that the everyday person was able to take a trip and come back with a BBL, they weren't as coveted by the rich because it wasn't a way to flex anymore. By removing it and being thin in a way that takes time shows a quiet luxury that a bigger body doesn't. I can't really decide on if I agree with this take or not, but I tend not to trust others or extend the benefit of the doubt to multimillionaires. Something that shows how people with bigger bodies are perceived and has gained some attention from the public are comments left under people's posts of them existing. The "you look great and you give the best hugs" comment that fluffier bodies always get has always sat wrong with me. Also, I struggle to say it's just bigger bodies. There are many smaller women, since that's what this video is going to be mostly about, that are also treated like they're unhealthy. Not in like an unhealthy eating way, but in this is a healthy body for a performer that eats to sustain energy to perform, and because they aren't frail and wayfish, they are ugly and the biggest person to ever exist, and you definitely don't need muscle to do a stage performance or anything. When people aren't making strange comments on people living, there's also been a rise in thinfluencers, like Liv Schmidt and her Skinny Society, and people who are very straightforward with their disliking of anyone over whatever weight they have deemed worthy.
But a lot of you bitches are not acting your way, clearly not pulling your weight in any way, shape, or form, or workout class or anything. But start pulling your weight, start acting.
You're 200 pounds, you shouldn't be in a Pilates class. There's no reason why they should allow 200-pound people in a level 2 class. You shouldn't be allowed to be a Pilates instructor if you have a gut and you're fat.
Videos like these can cause a lot of harm to the body image of many young girls, and you can scream from the rooftop that kids shouldn't be on the internet or that your content says 18 plus, but as long as it's public and there are no safeguards in place, I don't really want to hear it. There aren't many places for kids off the internet, so they're going to invade whenever and wherever they can. While exercise and diet are obviously the very base factors in weight, there are many other things at play. On a different type of base level, genetics play the most important role in the way your body is built, how you hold your weight, and how easy it is to gain and lose weight. Other than diet, exercise and genetics, wealth, and location can also impact a person's weight. A food desert is a geographic area where residents' access to affordable, healthy food options, especially fresh fruits and vegetables, is restricted or non-existent due to the absence of grocery stores within convenient traveling distance. I bring up this point because a lot of times from what I've seen, many of the people pushing the narrative of thin is in are in privileged positions. The celebrities taking GLP-1s are wealthy enough to be able to afford an unnecessary medication without insurance. And in surgical cases, like the Kardashian-Jenner clan removing the BBLs that they have sported for however long, using liposuction, a procedure that isn't cheap, ranging between $4,000 and $18,000. Another privilege that a wealthier person has over a less financially stable person is time. Time is our most valuable resource. It is finite whether you're rich or poor, black or white. However, with websites like TaskRabbit, someone with a few bucks to spare can buy someone else's time, kind of like every job, to do things like waiting in a long line or other more common side jobs, like IKEA furniture assembly or moving assistants. I bring this up because, like in the TaskRabbit scenario, someone with a few more dollars can have more free time to be in the gym, or cook every meal, or heal from liposuction. On the other side of the coin, the person accepting $28 to wait in line for someone else is probably a bit strapped for cash. And if someone has a non-gig job with an actual schedule and a manager and attendance points, it only gets harder to take time to do unnecessary procedures, or honestly, just do something other than lay face down on the floor after one full-time job, given that you're in a position where you don't need to have multiple. This is the part of the video where I'm going to get a little more personal with a few things that I've experienced working backwards through the points that I've previously made. Personally, I have been in a situation where I was working 2 jobs and doing college at the same time. Sure, during this time, I lost weight. But it wasn't from eating healthy, it wasn't from being mindful, it was because I wasn't eating. And even worse is that I felt happy to lose the weight because I've always felt like I was too big. I'll talk more on this in a second. I don't have time to recover from lipo. I exercise on days I don't work or my health allows, and I try not to eat in a way that makes me feel like shit. If I'm to be honest, thinking about people using GLP-1s for weight loss and the impact that it's having on people who use the medications for diabetes, who can't afford hundreds of dollars to make up for the fact that their organs don't work right and could die if not kept in check, pisses me off. When you have all the time in the world, or your whole job is anchored to your looks, which, once again, I'll have another video if I want to get into that, and you can afford to buy a person to take care of your cooking and shopping and personal training, and having stable mental health, losing weight naturally should be very possible. On the genetic front, I'm built in a way that would be undoubtedly stocky if I weren't for my height, and I've kept the same shape through 100 pounds of weight gain and weight loss. This fact played quite a role in my own disordered eating. Even at my lowest weights, I was still wider than I wanted to be. I still had the fat distribution in my hips, and I never had a gap between my thighs. I wasn't as bad as I could have gotten thanks to intervention from my family, but with the layering on top of some pre-existing health conditions, the constant garbage feeling that I always have just got worse and wasn't worth it. Luckily, I also don't really have an addictive personality, so I didn't also have to fight that while starting the recovery process. I will add that even though it's been many years, I still have to make an actual mindful effort to not entertain thoughts of starving myself. I can only imagine the damage that the skinny society and the glamorization of bodies with unhealthily low fat percentages can do to a young mind, especially if the person has little to no support outside of the group. If there's one thing the Thinspo girls are really good at, it is making a community. Being a preteen and teen was hard enough without ease of access to the internet. Also, recently there was another page of young girls posting their bodies on the internet to be rated, which can be so dangerous in so many ways. You can't blame the children, but oh my gosh, it's like that Onision thing again. Everything repeats itself. I feel like the way that my brain works and my my disliking of writing really does impose on the way that this video is going to be. And I have a lot of thoughts that I couldn't put into words. But hopefully with like the sources and some thoughts, and hopefully like in the editing I'll be able to hear it and clarify a bit more. It'll be a little better. But I feel like I may never be able to touch on every single thought I have on this topic, especially since I struggle to think in a way that has my thoughts connecting in a useful way. I am glad to touch on even just a few things, and I like to yap and I love to complain and be a little mean to rich people. Anyways, I'm going to edit this so that I can look at it and maybe add in some more points. But as of now, I don't really actually think I've gone on long enough. This script that I'm reading for just this part is over 10 pages, so I can tell that this is not going to be a long video. It's not going to be very informative. But thank you so much for watching. If you did, if you like it, or you want me to change some things, let me know. And also hit the subscribe button, please. They are changing the monetization rules. So if you would like to help me with that, that'd be very nice. Okay, bye.